Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to We Call Bang. This is episode 6, I want to say. I'm pretty sure last episode was episode 5, and there's a lot to talk about. We recorded the last episode on a Wednesday, and literally that Friday, even if we would have recorded on Friday, it wouldn't have mattered either because literally by the time we got done, the rest of the day, it was just deals, contracts, everything going on. So there's a lot to talk about. So we're gonna get right into it. Contract extensions, there's a ton. I mean, I think there's 28 on here if I remember counting correctly. So we're gonna start off with Harrison Barnes signing a 3-year deal with the Kings to stay. I mean, he's like a bridge starter. I don't know if he's like, he's a really good bench piece. If he's starting, he's not going to be like a real liability, but I don't think he's anything to like, he's a good piece. He's going to be better than most of the bench guys in the NBA, but, he's got a little bit of a three ball, so he's a good piece. I don't think there's too much to really say about Harrison Barnes, but I think he's a good player. Like I said, I feel like a lot of teams would want him. He stays in Sacramento, so good for him. They got a kind of good young team going on there, so makes sense why he wants to stick around. Anything to add about him?
Yeah. So on these, Joey had sent me how much they made for each one, and I know Joey had said like, "Oh, well, they ain't gonna make as much the first year as they would the second year," or blah blah blah, vice versa, blah blah. I just went ahead and just divided it. It says Harrison's supposed to make 18 mil a year, theoretically.
Yeah.
Divided by. So Harrison, it's just like they did make the playoffs last year. I feel like, kind of like you said, he's a good
good piece.
Excellent player to come off the bench. He's the best player, one of the best players you can get to come off the bench, and he's kind of like an average star.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like that was a good signing. 18 mil is a decent number. I ain't too mad at it. There ain't too many I'm mad at.
Yeah. All right. Moving on. One of the biggest pieces, we got Draymond Green staying in Golden State, 100 mil. If we split it up, 20 mil. Could be a little bit less, could be a little bit more over the years. So, I mean, like I said earlier in one of the other podcasts, they get rid of Jordan Poole. It kind of opens the door for Draymond to come back. So, I mean, I think they needed him back. I think Curry and Clay wanted him back. They obviously want to extend Clay. So, it makes sense to bring him back. I think he's a big part of their offense if they lose him defensively and offensively. Just the way the offense flows, I feel like they need to keep Draymond around. So, it makes sense. And probably what happened is Draymond kind of went out and fielded some offers and then came back to Golden State like, the Kings are offering me this much. These guys are offering me this much. And he might have got a bigger deal somewhere else, but he probably wanted to stay in Golden State. So he might have, who knows, he might have got more out of him or he might have got a little less. But, yeah, I mean, I think he went out, fielded some contracts or, seen what other teams wanted to offer him, and Golden State offered him or matched, so he came back. I think it's a good deal. I mean, I don't know if it's a good deal, but what he is to the team, I think it's a good deal. Anywhere else, I don't know if it would have been, a good fit for another team. But, since he's been there that long and they're good with him, I think it's a good fit, even though they might have overpaid a little bit.
Yeah, I think it was a good deal considering you gave away Jordan Poole. I mean, not really gave him away. You got Chris Paul, but you could still say gave away.
Yeah.
Clearly, the Warriors, like we talked about before, are worried about now instead of their future, which is okay by me. I mean, when you have kind of a dynasty, even though some pieces have broken up from it, you still have your ground with Clay, Curry, and Dre. When you have that dynasty still there, you might as well go ahead and reach as far as you can and try to go ahead and win a championship and win more instead of saying, all right, let's go ahead and get rid of Dre. Let's go ahead and get rid of all these players and then turn around and use Jordan Poole. And then, you don't really know where that's going to because, I mean, Jordan Poole is a great player and I see him doing great things. But at the end of the day, that's just because he was on the Warriors. You know what I mean? Like we said before, on any system, things can change. I really would have liked to see Draymond in a different place and see how he would have done in a different place, see how his career would have been.
I figured it was either Warriors or Kings was probably what I would have bet on because I don't think he wants to move out of L.A. So.
Oh, yeah. Probably not. I mean, I wouldn't, especially because I don't know living situations, but I assume he lives there. I mean, why wouldn't you? And I mean, it's just a hassle. I thought about that a couple of days ago, like how people just get traded and signed to different places. They got to move their whole life away. And
yeah,
it's just
gotta suck.
I feel bad for the wives and kids. That's tough.
All right, but yeah, Draymond, I think it's a good deal. Good deal for them to keep him around. Moving on, Karis LeVert, 2 year, 32 mil. Now a lot of people will be like, "Why are we even talking about this?" I'm pretty sure he went back to the Cavs. I don't have it wrote down, and usually when I don't write it down, that means he
He did.
stayed. Um, I mean, if you guys remember a few years back, he was pretty dominant. He was kind of like Shea, like kind of lanky guard, kind of got
Mhm.
whatever shot he wanted getting to the rim. And I don't know if he had an injury or two or something or what happened, but he used to be a really, really good scorer, and he's really just I don't know. He's not doing it as much with the Cavs, and we had the Garland stuff come out. I think a week ago, like they were open to fielding offers, trade offers for Garland, which is wild. But I mean, if you get rid of Garland, what? I mean, you just going back to rebuilding? Well, I don't get what the. I mean, I don't know. That's crazy to me. If I was a team, I wouldn't even think about trading Garland. But that's just me. Not a crazy signing. Just a good bench piece, I would say.
Yeah, I feel like he's kind of, as far as the signing, it's kind of the same thing with Harrison, just without the playoff experience. I mean, Harrison has, the championship, everything behind him. He doesn't. I mean, as far as the Garland thing, I know they signed or picked up or whatever Max, and I'm expecting that's probably because they're really thinking of getting rid of Garland, which Max isn't that guy to replace him.
No,
Not at all,
no.
not even a little bit. But it's a definitely good bench piece. He definitely did not go too crazy in the playoffs, as you saw. I don't know what their whole idea is getting rid of Garland. He's a great player. I don't know why you would even come close to even thinking of getting rid of him. I would have him on any team.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm guessing as far as LeVert, I mean he's it's just a signing. I mean he ain't no big star. That's just
He used to be. I mean, they were talking about him a lot, but I don't know. He kind of just fell off a little bit. Moving on, Kyle Kuzma. I mean, I think this is a pretty big signing. 4 years, 102 million. Can play power forward, small forward if you need him to. Really good shooter. It's kind of hard to find good shooters at that position. So, 102 mil over 4 years. I think it's a good deal to keep him in Washington. I mean, they got to do something, right? Either they let him go and they're kind of just still stuck in the mediocrity, standpoint. So keeping him around, it's a good deal. I think they also had somebody else they brought in.
Poole.
Poole. So, that could be a good duo going from here on out. But good signing, good shooter.
Yeah, I feel like kind of like you said, if you took him out, then obviously it's going to be pool party all day long. And I mean, even with him in, it's going to be pool party and and Kuzma. It's going to be them. Those are going to be your two main scorers. This ain't going to be one of those teams that you have like the Suns or one of them crazy teams that have all these good players that you can have one good player out at all times. I'm really glad they signed him, though. I didn't want to see him get out of Washington and go somewhere else, and because I feel like he's doing pretty well in Washington. I mean, I felt like personally he was doing pretty well in the Lakers. But,
I mean, he got his chip, right? So
I mean, things go how they go. So, but I'm glad he stayed in Washington. I don't know how far him and Poole are gonna get, but I feel like they could make possibly the play-in if they play their cards right. But it's going to be very hard. It's going to be a very challenging task. But, I mean, if AI can make it, so can they. That's how I feel about it.
yeah. All right. Moving on, Kobe White, Bulls, 3 year, 40 mil. Not a huge signing. I remember when he first came in the league. I think he came in with Trey, or maybe the year before or the year after. I know it was somewhere around that. But I thought he was going to be really good. Hasn't really blossomed into the player I thought he would be. But like I said, another backup point guard, better than most backup point guards in the league. So nothing too much to talk about there. Bruce Brown goes to the Pacers. 2 years, 45 mil. I mean, a good signing for them. But again, I mean, what are they really going to do? I mean, I guess he don't really care about. I mean, he got his chip, so now he's going for the money. Makes sense.
Yeah.
He probably wouldn't get more from anybody else. So, I mean, he goes to the Pacers. I mean, I don't see them really winning in the next 2 years, but
I don't see them winning a chip. I could see them going to the playoffs. I mean, they got Halliburton, and they just signed, I think, Obi Toppin. And I
he's
mean,
all right.
He's all right, but let's not beat around the bush. He ain't played many minutes. Obi.
The year that we played him in the playoffs and the year after he played a good bit, but after that, no, he didn't play much.
I feel like with that team, I feel like they're going to get somewhere. I don't know about deep playoffs, but I feel like they can make it first round, especially because I mean now you got Bruce Brown, and you know he didn't show crazy this past playoffs. He didn't show crazy.
He played good.
He didn't show crazy, but he's a pretty great defender. He hustles, which is what you want out of any player.
Yeah.
And he could get you a few rebounds. So I mean, he could be that piece, you know, that they may be missing. Because I mean, they got Halliburton to, you know, pass around the ball. You know, they got a few good players.
I don't know. I think when Halliburton gets to the playoffs, I think he'll get exposed a little bit. I think he's a really good passer. I think he's a really good defender. Really good offensively. The jump shot, I mean, he shot good, but I think it's a little slow at the same time. It's a little funky. It's a little slow. And when you get to the playoffs and these teams are double teaming you and building their defense around stopping you, I think he's going to struggle a little bit. But, I mean, that's like anybody. We saw it with Trey. The first playoffs, he played pretty well. And then, you know, he went up against the Heat, a real defensive team, and they kind of took him out of the game. So,
but they got
happens.
a decent center. I mean, Miles Turner. I mean,
yeah, he's a good shot blocker.
You know,
good.
So I mean,
you know,
that could create a pretty decent team, really. I mean, you got a Linky, Obi Toppin. I don't know if right off the bat they'll start him. I don't know what they're going to do with that.
I don't know who their forward is, but he could probably start.
Yeah, I don't know what they're originally going to do, but I mean, I feel like that could definitely be. They got Buddy Hield, I think.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean,
they got some pieces.
They definitely got a team on paper that looks like it could do really good, but you're just gonna have to watch and see. It's kind of like the Nuggets on paper. That team looked pretty decent, but they ended up showing that they were the best team in the league at the end of the year. So.
Yeah. Moving on, we got Jeremy Grant, Trailblazers, 5 years, $160 million. Good contract over 5 years. I don't feel like it's an overpay. I feel like, you know, if they're getting rid of Lillard, Jeremy's a little bit younger than Lillard, or probably a good 4 years younger or something, maybe.
I think he's like 2 or 3.
So keep him around. You got Scoot now, right? So he needs he needs somebody to help him out. So obviously makes sense. He gets his money. Good deal, good defender. Has some offensive, you know, versatility. So I think it's great keeping him around. Like I said, if you're trading Lillard, you're gonna have Scoot. So you need somebody to draw a little bit of attention for him, so he can develop. So nothing much to say, but good deal.
I think it was a little high, not too high, but you got to pay the man. But
I think it being over 5 years is what. I mean, if it was 4 years, 160, then I feel like it'd be a big overpay. But 5 years, it's not too bad.
Well, yeah, and he is a good forward. But besides that, he brought up Dame. I just got to say this. Because I noticed this. I remembered deep in my mind that Dame had said this on Paul George's
Deep in my mind. I saw it on Twitter.
Instagram post about some y'all running from the grind. What are you doing, Dame? I know we're going to talk about this later, but I just want to say this now. What are you doing, Dame? How you going to sit here and say, oh, PG, you running from the grind, you switching teams, me, because you're a crybaby, bro. Yeah, you're going to sit here and now you want to switch teams. Now, not only you're a crybaby, you're sitting here strictly saying, because at first it was, I kind of want to play for the Heat, you know, somewhere around that. Now you're saying, I strictly only want to play for the Heat. How are you going to be that big of a crybaby? How
many teams Paul George been on?
3. But I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, he went as far as he could with Indiana, okay? And I mean, they weren't.
Dame's went as far as he could with Portland. I mean, what are we talking about?
But here's the thing: PG never singled out Dame.
I'm sure he did. I'm
He did
sure he
because the post was
I'm
actually
sure in the trade
singling him out.
talks, Paul George probably said, "I only want to go to LA." So let's not act like he didn't say the same thing.
He did.
Let's
He
be
did show
real.
interest in LA, but the thing was, Kawhi had said,
And we don't even know if Lillard actually said that. That's just what people report.
yeah, that is what people report. He does have a point on that. But it's just, you can't sit here and be a hypocrite. Like Paul George, he did call him out for other things. Like, I think it was CU because he beat Dame in a game, and then Dame commented that, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But you can't sit here and say, oh, you're switching teams, blah, 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 and then turn around and switch teams. That's just, you know what I mean? And then say specifically, this is the area I want to be in, blah, blah, blah. Like, bro, you can't sit here and backtrack and say this and then turn around and be like, oh, yeah, I want to do the same thing, though. Like, bro, you look like a wimp. You look stupid. I hate you. But
We're talking about Jeremy Grant here.
yeah, as far as him, yeah, he's a good forward. He got his bag. They definitely needed to pay him. That's a place for him.
All right. So Celtics obviously got the trade they went through with Marcus Smart. They get Kristaps. They extend him 2 years, $60 million. Makes sense. Keep him around. Are they going to extend Jaylen Brown this year? That's a big question. I think they will. I don't think it'll be any issues with that. But now you have a decent center. You still have Al, so you got 2 shooting bigs. Switch them in and out. So extending him, not, that's $30 million a year, but you're not going to find a shooting center like that, shot blocker, with that type of offensive bag. So I think it's a good deal. I don't have any problems with it.
The only problem I have with it is Kristaps is injury prone, and that's a little bit to pay for injury prone big. Like he said, it's hard to find any big that is skillful behind the arc. It is extremely hard to find, and I see why they're paying him that. And he could be the perfect piece. He could be the start to their dynasty. They could win 7 chips in a row. Who knows? But he's injury prone. You know what I mean? He don't play a crazy amount of games, so you just gotta kind of hope he stays healthy. I hope he stays healthy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all.
Kyrie goes back to the Mavs, 3 years, $126 million. I honestly didn't think he was going to go back to the Mavs. For being real, I thought he was going to try to take a pay cut. We saw he took a visit with the Suns. I'm thinking, is he finna take the minimum and go to the Suns or something? I think it's a terrible thing for the Mavs. I don't think him and Luka are ever going to be able to coexist. So I think this spells disaster for the Mavs, in my personal opinion. I think it could make Luka want to leave. So I don't know. I think it's I don't think it's a bad deal for Kyrie per se, but I think it's going to be bad for the Mavs in the end. I don't think they're going to be able to get along. Obviously, they only had 1 year together, so we'll see what happens. They get another year under their belt, but they didn't really have a year together. They had like 30 games or something, so they didn't have long together. But I don't know. I just don't think it's gonna mix well, and I don't really think they got the team to win. I think they re-signed Dwight Powell, or maybe Powell went somewhere else, so they don't really have a big man either anymore. Not that Dwight Powell was greatness or anything, but I don't know. I just don't see that team working out.
Yeah, the best big man is literally JaVale. And, he's an elite shot blocker, but like we were talking about skillful, I would not call him skillful whatsoever.
No.
But as far as defense, he definitely does help. But as far as Kyrie, thing with him is he wanted to go somewhere else, and you can see he still wants to go somewhere else because even before, like he said, he was talking about the Suns. Now, the thing is, at first, I did not like the whole Suns thing. I didn't like all of these players were going to the Suns, especially with Kyrie going. But I don't really mind it because if you really sit down and look at it and look at how many games these players really play, it's not going to be a full lineup ever of those stars. It's just genuinely not, and I'm not mad at it anymore. But it's just like my problem is when you do things like that, like, for instance, kind of like John Collins, how they wanted to trade him for so long and everything like that. What does that do for team morale? With Kyrie just saying, I don't want to really be here. I'm exploring other options, and I want somewhere I can call my home. You know what I mean? If I'm his teammate, I'm going to feel like, hey, bro, he don't even want to be here. Like, why am I, why do I got to share the court with this man? Let's do something with him. Which, I mean, they signed him to a deal. Maybe they think that they can make him happy. I don't know what the trade clause is in the deal. I mean, I personally am not going to go look at no contracts and look deep into them. I do not care that much. But maybe they think that maybe, you know, he'll actually stay. Maybe he could still be helpful. Like he said, I don't know how Luka's going to feel about it. I know there were reports, which, I mean, like you said, I mean, you know, anybody could report anything. But,
Yeah.
you know, especially with that one play of them at the end of the game, you know, game on the line, they were passing it back from the right wing to the left, you know, seeing who's going to take the last shot. I'm glad they wanted to share the ball, but it's just like, bro, one of y'all take the ball, I'm going to take the last shot. So it's just like.
Me personally, Kyrie taking the shot.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It depends where it is. If it's at the 3-point range, I'm taking Kyrie. If it's mid-range,
I'm taking Kyrie.
and they're in the post, if they're in the post, I'm taking Luka.
I don't know.
But if he's just gonna, you know, Luka's gonna do his step back or Kyrie's gonna do his little snatch, I'm taking Kyrie. But if it's in the post, I'm taking Luka. It's different. But anyways, so I don't know how Luka's gonna feel about it. If I'm Luka, I'm pretty heated because, you know, how you're gonna come into my organization. At this point, this is Luka's organization. How are you going to come into my organization, then turn around and say, oh, blah, 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 then make a deal, and now you got to be on my team, and I'm supposed to just be happy and rock with you? I don't know. I don't think it was a good deal for the Mavs. I think it was a good deal for Kyrie.
Yeah. All right, Chris Middleton returns to the Bucks, 3 years. I think I wrote down 162 mil. Might have been 102. I think it's 102
It's
mil,
102.
actually. I mean, makes sense. Giannis, we don't even really know what's going on with Giannis. There's been a little buzz there. Maybe he wants to leave. I mean, if he's leaving, then you definitely need to keep Middleton, obviously, because, I mean, that team's going downhill without Giannis. But who knows what Giannis is thinking? We say we don't know what Kyrie's thinking. We really don't know what Giannis is thinking. And it seems like the Bucks don't even know what he's thinking. So, I mean, I think he'll be back. I don't see him leaving Milwaukee, but I mean, there's been a little buzz here and there that, you know, he might want to leave, or who knows, he might retire, you know, as a, you know, younger player. Who knows? But I mean, I think it's a good deal. Needed to bring Middleton back. Obviously, he's the closer of the team. We've seen it time and time again in the playoffs. When the fourth quarter comes, Middleton's usually the one that closes the game. So, got their closer back.
Yeah, I mean, he's an all-star player. I mean, he's definitely number 2 on that team, but you put the right people around him, he could be number 1. You don't know number 1 without Giannis. That's what I'm saying. If you take Giannis out, I mean, he's never going to be number 1 with Giannis in it unless Giannis gets hurt. But like you said, I don't know what Giannis is going to do. Hopefully Giannis stays. I would love to see Giannis just spend his career in Milwaukee, but you know, there ain't no telling with the way these players are now, especially Damian Lillard. But it's just like, it was good pay. I would pay him a little bit more because, like, what's his name? PG, I don't know if this is yearly. I would assume it's yearly, but he's getting paid like $42 million. And it's like, bro, I love PG, but, bro, you played 50 games. And it's like.
Well, I mean, Middleton was hurt pretty much whole last year, I think.
He's still not as injury prone as PG is, or Kawhi,
or
KD. It's just like that could be your genuine star if you didn't have Giannis. I feel like he should pay just a little bit more, not too much, but a little bit more. But good sign, or good, yeah.
All right, so we got a few. We'll start with the big deal here. Or no, we'll go through these little ones. So we got Jakob Poeltl. I think he stayed with I think he went to the Raptors. I can't remember what team he was on before. Decent center. He's better. I think he's a little bit better than average. We got Cam Johnson going to the net, or staying with the Nets, I believe. 4 years, 108 mil. I mean, they're kind of. I mean, they got Mikal Bridges, however you say his name perfectly, but I mean, they got a little squad there, but they're not going to get over the hump, I feel like. I mean, he's a good player. We saw him in the playoffs. He's a star. He's definitely an all-star, but you know, they don't really got the team around him, and I don't think Cam Johnson is really like broken out as a shooter and stuff as a lot of people would. but not a bad player. I think it's a little bit of an overpay, but who else are they going to pay? So might as well pay him. You guys anything to say about those two so far?
The center is average. Cam Johnson, basically, like he said. I mean, you ain't got no one else to pay.
Yeah,
But
you ain't got nobody
Bridges,
else to
I mean,
pay.
that's your only good player, really. Yeah, that's your only good player, really. So, I mean, you might as well just pay whatever you can, keep whoever happy.
All right, so moving on to the Lakers, they re-signed Reeves, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Signed Vincent.
Mm-hmm.
Re-signed Roy.
Mm-hmm.
Who else did they get? They got Cam Reddish.
They got Cam
and
Reddish and Jackson Hayes.
Jackson Hayes. So I mean, a good young group bringing back in. Obviously, Rui played really, really well in the playoffs. Shot, I think, dang near 50% from three. So that's awesome. Gabe Vincent. I mean, we saw what he done for Miami. He's there on the defensive end. Not the greatest defender, but he tries. Every now and then he can get hot from three and knock 5 down in a game. But we also saw him drop, I think, 3 and 12 and in 30 minutes, 35 minutes. So, like, I mean, a good backup point guard for him. Obviously, D'Lo's probably going to be the starter still.
Yep.
Re-signed D'Lo, forgot about that.
Yep.
Dallas has strong opinions about that because that's one of his favorite players. I mean, everybody can admit it. He didn't play well in the playoffs. It's no secret. He really played really bad in the playoffs, if we're being honest. Obviously, regular season, I mean, I thought it was a good pickup during the whole season. He played pretty good in the regular season, just he kind of became unplayable in the playoffs, if we're keeping it real. So hopefully, they figure that out. But, I mean, he wasn't there with the team long in the regular season, so obviously we got to get them to play a whole season together.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how LeBron is. He's probably not going to play. He's probably only going to play half. But, yeah, D'Lo, good to bring him back. Didn't pay him much at all. I think it was like $36 million over 2 years. So, I mean, that's a cheap deal for, could be an all-star or maybe right outside of the all-star discussion. So, not bad for them. Anything you got to say about the Lakers?
Whew. All right. First, Gabe. I mean, I feel like he's a mediocre player. I don't feel like he's anything crazy. I don't feel like it's anything to hype up. He's mediocre at best. I mean, he played all right, I guess. Reeves. I feel like he should have been paid just a little bit more.
I thought so too.
Because, I mean, he didn't play bad in the playoffs. I mean, regular season either. I mean, let's not.
No, he played good.
Yeah, he played. I would say he was the third best player in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And but D'Lo. Okay, here's how I feel about D'Lo. Okay, I really like D'Lo's game. That's not going to keep me biased, but he did play bad in the playoffs. Now, when he played against Golden State, he didn't play too bad. It's just when he went to that next round, it kind of just fell off. But and in the regular season, he wasn't playing bad at all. People were literally jumping on this man, literally saying, "Oh yeah, this man's balling now. This man's balling now." No, bro, he's been a bucket. D'Lo is a bucket. He's been a bucket. You just got to trust the process. That's all you got to do. I feel like that was definitely amazing that they kept him. They see what I see in D'Lo, and they know it was just one bad series. He's got this. I'm very excited for Jackson Hayes. I know he didn't play many minutes on the Pelicans. He's definitely going to be a great big man rotation for Anthony Davis. I feel like, he'll definitely get way more minutes on this team. Definitely show how good of a player he will be. And, yeah, that's how I really feel about it. I mean, nothing too crazy, but I feel like people need to hop off D'Lo a little bit and just, chill a little bit. Because, by the way, I know this wasn't in the notes, but Chet played his first summer league game.
Thought
Yeah, and
he played all right.
he played decent, bro. Like, hop off him. Like, it's summer league, bro.
You're the one that was talking crap. What do you mean you hop off of him?
No,
you
no, no,
literally
no, no.
said you thought he was going to be a bust.
I meant hop off of him because people were like, "Oh, he's busting. He's
Oh,
busting,"
okay.
because he has like 15 points. 15 points.
Well, in a summer league game, he had like 15 points, 9 rebounds, something.
And, like,
and they're
4
shorter
blocks.
games or something. So,
he played
I mean, that's a good
good.
stat line.
He played good, but bro, he's, you know what I mean? It's summer league, like, chill. Like, summer league. Like, let's get it. Let's get it. But I'm sorry to
Wait till Austin left to talk about that.
Oh, was Austin like? Oh yeah, he likes OKC. Oh yeah, my bad. But my bad to bring that up. But like I feel like he's gonna be a decent player. I don't feel like he's gonna be anything crazy. But yeah, I'm sorry to get off the Lakers, but yeah.
So Fred VanVleet to Houston. I think they actually had somebody else go to Houston as well. Yeah, Dylan Brooks. Might have been an overpay, but we'll talk about that in a minute. VanVleet, obviously all-star caliber point guard. Would start on most teams, and good signing for them. They got a good young team. I wonder what Jalen Green is going to do with him. If you know, you know. But, yeah, I don't know if Jalen's going to play shooting guard or back him up. So we'll see how that goes, but I think it's a really good signing. They got a pretty solid team so far, I think. Pretty good roster.
I go a lot. Fred is probably going to be the point guard.
Oh, no, he's definitely the point guard.
So then they're just going to have Jalen at shooting. But, my bad.
I was doing the same thing.
Yeah, here's my thing. So for Fred, it was a good deal. For the Rockets, it was a good deal. I love that signing. I love that whole thing because they needed a player like that for this team, and he needed a team that was going to pay him a lot of money. The Raptors didn't seem like they wanted to do that, so he got what he wanted, which is great. I applaud that. Now, for Dylan Brooks, I think he's getting paid $20 million a year because it's a 4-year, $80 million. So, if you average it out, it's $20 million a year. But that was a heck of an oversigning. His thing is he's a good defensive player. He can score, if you want to say that. I mean, he can score sometimes, but it's just all the drama he brings with him is just ridiculous. I hate to be any player on that team because of what all he's done to that team or to the Grizzlies. And it's just like, he's getting paid more than Westbrook. Like, Westbrook isn't that bad at all. And the Clippers got a steal on that, which we'll talk about in a minute. And I ain't gonna say too much on it, so we'll talk about it in a minute. But he is Westbrook is 10 times the player. Dylan Brooks is. Just size and defense is the thing that stands him out. I feel like the pay could have been a little bit lower, way lower, and Dylan would have took it because people were making jokes about the Sharks or whatever overseas country he was going to go to or whatever. But, I knew he was going to stay in the league. I mean, he's still a good player, decent player. He's at least going to be on the bench for some teams. If he didn't, sign this deal, I believe he'll be starting on this team.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's getting a little too much disrespect. Maybe if it was around 60-ish mil, I could see it being a really good deal. But, yeah, I definitely think it was a little bit of an overpay. I do think, like I said, I think people are – obviously had the thing with LeBron in the playoffs, so – that's why where all the hate's coming from. The Grizzlies were always cocky in general, and he was kind of leading that. So, it's warranted. You kind of brought it on yourself. You didn't back it up, and you couldn't hit a three in the playoffs. So, you better step up. You better be able to knock him down, or I don't know what's really going to happen with you. Like I said, or like Dow said, he's a pretty good defender. I'll give him that, but offensively, he's a little limited, I'd say. I think it's a little bit of an overpay. But moving on, D. Rose going to Memphis. I think it's a great deal. Obviously, I think the year before last, he didn't get to play at all last year. But when he was playing, I remember when we played him in the playoffs, he was still killing. He can get it done in the post, really good on the glass. So, I think he still got it. He rested his legs for a whole year, so he's going to come into Memphis and be kind of fresh. And I think he can be a really good six-man.
Yeah, I feel like he's going to definitely mentor Ja a little bit, definitely mentor the whole entire team after everything they've went through last year. He's definitely who did they get?
Who did Memphis get?
Yeah, Memphis got somebody before because we were talking about how he's going to help with
I know Bane extended Oh, who did
I
they
just
have?
remember we were talking about how he's going to help with Jaw being out. So it's either a
Oh,
guard.
Marcus.
Oh, Marcus. Yeah. Yeah. So he'll probably start with Marcus at shooting guard
Yeah,
and
maybe.
him at point guard until Jaw comes back in. And yeah, I feel like it's a decent signing. I feel like he could pay just a little bit more because
Yeah.
I understand he's not the player he was, but he's not a bad player at all. And there are some games he doesn't go crazy, but at the end of the day, there's some games like I think it wasn't too long ago. It definitely wasn't last season, like you said, but it was either the season before that. He dropped like 42 or something, some crazy number, and yeah, it was just. I feel like he could have been paid just a
Yeah, he
little
can
bit
still
more.
get after it. He's still good. All right. Halliburton, we kind of already talked about this a little bit. Pacers, 5 years, 260 mil, gave him the bag. And call me a hater, but I don't know if he's worth. I don't know if he's always cracked up to be. Maybe I'm a little biased, but I think he's a good player. I don't know, 260 mil, good player, but he's young. You're betting on him, so who else do you got to pay? Kind of goes back to that.
Mm-hmm.
Pacers got to pay somebody, and that's the guy you want to pay. You want to keep him around, see what you can do with him. So I think it's a good signing. I do think it's maybe a little bit of an overpay because I think, like I said, when you get to the playoffs, teams are playing higher on you, focusing on you defensively. I think he's going to struggle a little bit, but you can tell me that about Trey in this year's playoffs. So I understand, but I think it's a little bit of an overpay.
I'm not too mad at the deal. He did get paid a lot, but you could tell that that's who they're trying to stick with as their number one. They're trying to make that his team. Kind of like how I don't remember if you have it written down, but they paid Ant Edwards a good bit.
Yeah, I think I wrote it down late.
Yeah, kind of like how they're kind of trying to make the point that this is his team.
Well, I think Edwards is better than Halliburton.
Exactly. Well, I was trying to say Edwards is more important than Cat is on the Timberwolves. That's what I'm trying to say. I feel like this is going to be his team. I feel like, Cat is an important piece, but they got other centers now. So
I don't know.
compared to center to guard ratio, they got more better centers than they do
Well,
guards.
obviously, yeah, because they got him and Rudy. But
Exactly.
I think you take Cat off that team and they're not as good.
Well,
Obviously they're not as good, but
Well, you take Cat off the team, you got cap space or trade. Therefore, you can easily get another decent big
listen, they screwed up getting Rudy. Terrible idea.
It was.
But I think Cat is more important to the team than Edwards is. But that's just me.
Yeah, that's just gonna have to be one of our disagreements. I like Edwards. I feel like that.
He has a personal hatred for Karl Anthony Towns. So
Yeah, but
keep that in mind.
anyways, so basically, I know I went off track. I do that apparently, but who were we even talking about? Halliburton, yeah. So they're clearly making this his team. I like that because he did not play bad at all last season. You're kind of just having your high hopes, just hoping that he continues to play at this level, and hopefully he will. You're definitely going to need to either draft or pick up some more pieces. I know, you obviously did try in this free agency and all this other stuff, but you're going to have to, surround him with some better players. I'm not a fan of picking up crazy stars, but you get one crazy star on that team, it's in the finals. I promise.
All right, Desmond Bane, 5 years, 207 mil.
Mm-hmm.
Good shooter, has the wingspan of a alligator or something. We all see the clips of him like this, or whatever, with the really short arms. And every time I see it, I'm like, is that photoshopped or is that real? Because they're just so short. So, I think he deserves the deal, but good defensive player, big body, really strong, and he can shoot the three. He can drive it. He can do pretty much anything on offense, and he's got the defense to back it up. So I think it's deserved. I think Memphis has a really good team, and I think they can compete.
Yeah, he definitely deserves it. He's definitely one of those kind of like forwards that are just all around. You can do anything with him. He is the only player in the NBA that I genuinely feel bad for, other than D Rose. Obviously D Rose situation. But the reason I feel bad for him is because he had to play with Dylan Brooks last season.
I was like, where are you going with this?
I feel bad for him because he had to play with Dylan Brooks last season. Now he has to deal with Jaw's situation. It's like this man can't catch a break. Obviously, he's the best player on that team other than Jaw.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's just like, you're missing key pieces just because people are doing stupid things. Like Dylan Brooks' little argument with, what's his name, Draymond, saying that the Warriors aren't a dynasty. This is a dynasty. Like, bro, why are we creating problems? But besides the fact, yeah, I feel like it was a great signing by Grizzlies. That's definitely someone you want to keep around on your team.
Yeah, they were a little bit too confident, I think is the issue there. But Max Strus signed and trade, so he signed with Miami and then got traded to the Cavs, 4 years, $63 million. Like I said, they were up and down in the playoffs. A lot of these Heat players were. I mean, they were all like undrafted and things like that. So it's great. They're getting their recognition. Goes to the Cavs. The Cavs I don't know what their plan is. I mean, they're signing these guards. What does that mean? Does that mean they're trying to get rid of Garland? Or re-signing? I mean, Karis LeVert coming back. So, I don't know what that was. Anyways, got me off topic with a ding here. But Max Strus, decent player. Could definitely be a backup, come off the bench, play some defense. Can get hot from three, but can also be freezing cold from three. So keep that in mind. I'm pretty sure he went 0-5 in a couple of the playoff games from three. So he can shoot you into a hole. So just keep that in mind. Moving on. Obviously, we already talked about D'Lo and Reeves. LaMelo, 5 years, $260 million for Charlotte. One of Dallas's favorite players. One of mine. I think he's one of the most entertaining players to watch. And he just the way he moves is so unorthodox. It's weird. The jump shot is weird. He doesn't really jump into it. He just kind of like I don't know. His game is just weird, but it's fun to watch. I think he deserves it. Goes back to the who else are they going to pay kind of mentality.
Mm-hmm.
I know Miles Bridges should be back next year. Well, everything that happened with him. I'm not going to reiterate any of that, but I mean, those were two All-Stars. So, I mean, maybe they can build something in Charlotte with Jordan selling the team. I don't know if it's already been sold. I don't think it has yet, but I know he's selling the team. MJ's just he couldn't find talent. He just couldn't. So, I mean, good deal for them though.
Yeah, definitely. Good deal for LaMelo. Good deal for them. Hopefully, LaMelo stays healthy. I know he's had his fair share of ankle injuries and everything like that. Hopefully, he can stay healthy during that process and, play out his games. Like he said, Miles Bridges coming back. He was on the incline. He was going up. He was starting to get, really good. He was starting to get there. And then, obviously, he had the domestic thing going on. And, that's unfortunate. I don't even know what situation went on with that. But I think Miles is supposed to be suspended for 10 games, the first 10 games. That ain't too bad. Especially with LaMelo, it's just going to be the same team like it was last year, basically. I don't think they really signed anybody or got any crazy trades other than Miles. So, yeah.
All right, Jock Landale, 4 year, $32 million, going to Houston. Another good piece. If y'all was watching him in the playoffs, the Suns had to take out what's his name? What's the center? Yogi Berra. What's his name? Who's the Suns center?
Ayton?
Yeah, they had to take out Ayton because he just wasn't giving enough effort. And Landale, I mean, he played really, really well. He hustled. I thought he played better than Ayton in general. I just thought he looked way better than Ayton did. Obviously, Ayton's got a jumper, got a mid-range on him, so that kind of helps. But Landale played really good in the playoffs. I think that's a sneaky signing for Houston, especially getting him for 4 years on that cheap of a deal. Obviously, if he plays good, they can give him more money. But good deal. We'll skip over Westbrook because we kind of talked about it earlier, unless you got anything to say. DiVincenzo goes to the Knicks. Obviously, he was on Golden State. Mm-hmm. I mean, kind of a cheap deal, so I don't hate it. Knicks played pretty good. They got into the playoffs. Julius Randle's starting to – I mean, he's older, but he's starting to figure some things out. Maybe he can, get that left hand down because that's always the shot at him is he has no left hand. So, but, I mean, decent team. They played pretty well in the playoffs, but, I mean, where did they go? So, Y'all can say all that Jalen Brunson better than Trae Young stuff. Y'all can keep that. Anyways, Sabonis, 5 years, $217 million for the Kings. And like I said, this goes back to it's hard to find power forwards and centers that can shoot. And he's one of the best in the league right now.
Yeah. He definitely is. I feel like, kind of like he said, I mean, basically, again, who are you going to pay? I mean, it's either nowadays.
Well, I mean, they got a lot of people to pay, low key.
Who they got?
I don't know how much. Let's see. I don't know how long they signed Herter for. I know we traded him, so I don't know how long he's got left. I mean, you got Fox, Sabonis, who they just paid. I had somebody else that I was about to say, but I just forgot. But I mean, Herter is.
I mean, we're not talking about Herter like he's an all-star. He's a good player. He's a good shooter.
Yeah,
we
I
can
don't know
leave
what
it at
games
that.
you're watching, but
I mean,
take Herter off that team. They not playing.
here's the thing. De'Aaron Fox, obviously the key piece, but I mean that's your two players. De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis.
Kings fans probably know, bro.
Don't-
Herter's
don't-
that dude.
Don't act like De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis ain't the top two players.
They are the top two players.
Okay, that's all that matters.
But
So-
Herter is number 3, and it's not close.
Yeah, number 3. But I mean, at the end of the day, think about who number 3 is on a lot of teams.
He's number 3, and he's close to number 2.
Ooh, I'm gonna put him over Sabonis now.
He is a really good shooter.
Yeah, he's a really
and
good
he can run
shooter.
the offense if you need him to.
Mhm.
So, I don't know. I thought he had a really good year. Maybe I don't know how Kings fans feel about him, but obviously he was on the Hawks before, so
He just reminds me of JJ Redick.
I got a little bit of bias. He's bigger than Redick. He can play some defense. He's got a strap on him. He can shoot it off the dribble. He can shoot it off, rolling around screens and stuff. He's basically like Klay Thompson. So I said he's basically like Klay Thompson. The way he shoots he shoots the ball, he's kind of like Klay.
This man, he just loves the Hawks, and he was in love with Herter before, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. They're saying he's like Klay Thompson. I mean, that's a high comparison right there. Klay Thompson
That's
is the
who
second,
people compare him to.
but he is the second best shooting guard in the league.
I'm not saying he's Klay Thompson. I never said he was Klay Thompson. I said he's like Klay Thompson.
I mean, he might have some similarity.
Okay, then
can say-
what's
yeah,
the
we
problem?
we can
You
say-
can't. I literally just said he's like Klay Thompson. I didn't say he was Klay Thompson.
Okay. I'm just saying.
Jeez, man.
I don't know. I don't know if he's as good as you're putting him up to be, but he's good. I mean, I'm not saying he's not bad. I'm not saying he's bad. Let's put that out there. I'm not saying Kevin Herter's bad at all. I've watched some of his games. I've been to some of his games. He's good. Well, like let me go ahead and throw that out there. He is good, but I'm not saying that out of
The way he plays, he is like Klay. That's what I said.
okay.
get it
So
straight.
in a system, he is like the piece that Klay is to the Warriors. That's what you're saying.
To an extent, yeah.
Okay, that's all we needed to say. I thought you were saying that he is basically the equivalent of Klay Thompson, like as in a player.
Like, we giving him a rating out of 99, all right, and we giving Fox like a 95, and we give us a bonus like a 95.
of that team, yeah.
Herter's like an 86.
Of that team, yeah.
Yeah, no, in general, on any team.
Well, I wouldn't put Fox and Sabonis at a 95. That's high. I mean, you're having LeBron at 96.
The way they play, LeBron's 99, all right. We're not going off of whatever 2K actually.
Okay,
put
so
him
we're
at,
not
but I'm
going off
just saying-
2K. We're talking about real life.
I'm just saying, like, if I was giving them a rating, like Fox is going to be like a 95, Sabonis going to be like a 90 to 95, somewhere in there, like 92.
Yeah,
to
I'm
92
giving
range.
Fox a 94, 92 for Sabonis. Herter probably.
Herter, I'm giving like
88, 89 maybe.
All right, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, he's
got
a
game.
really good shooter. Anyways, moving on. Jordan Clarkson signs back with the Jazz. The Jazz. That's all we got to say. Obviously, we got Collins and Marketing and whoever that other big that they're hyping up. It's too many bigs, all right. Like you can only do so much with big men, all right. Let's keep it real. You can have a really good center and a really good power forward. Who's their point guard? You need a point guard. So, I mean, they're not really going to do anything anytime soon. Sure, you can say their front court is good, but I don't see them really doing anything next year or the year after that, or until they get a point guard. Then we'll talk. But John can't really stay consistent from three, so I don't think that team's going to be anything to worry about. But that's my opinion. Jordan Clarkson, though, didn't really talk about him, even though that's who we're talking about. He's a good piece. He's got a bag. I don't know if he's really got the defense to go with it, but he's a good offensive player.
Yeah, I feel like I don't really have many feelings about this sign. I kind of just knew that he was just going to go back to the Jazz, there's no reason not to. I mean, that's probably the place that's going to pay you the most anyways. I mean, it's not like, there's a lot of good point guards in this league, so it's hard to go to a place and ask for a lot of money. That's a good signing for both the team and him. That's obviously going to be their starter. I feel like the Jazz, I don't know if they're going to go anywhere, but with the addition of John Collins, I feel like they'll have a better record than they did last year. What, you heard that?
With the addition of John Collins.
What? Oh.
Yeah. Come on now.
I mean, you can't lie. John Collins is a good player. I mean, yeah, he's not a sharpshooter, but he's a good player.
Slightly better than whoever they had before.
Okay, so therefore their record should theoretically
They'll get
go
another
up.
3 games. All right.
All right.
I mean, you kind of already blasted Lillard for the trade talk, so I don't feel like we really need to go over that.
I hate him. I hate you, Dave.
Obviously, they need a 3 or 4 team trade for it to go through. That's what they're waiting on. So, not really much to talk about there. Wants to go to the Heat. And way too early finals predictions. I got 4 teams here. All right? So, Nuggets and Heat, Celtics, Lakers are my 4 that I think. Obviously, I got Nuggets and Celtics being a matchup, Heat and Lakers being a matchup. Could go vice versa. Obviously, and it be Heat Nuggets again. It could be Celtics Lakers. But I think those are 4 of the deepest teams right now. I think they got the best chance. Now, not saying that, these other teams can't pull it out. Who knows what the Clippers are going to do if they keep their team. Memphis is a good shout. You can put them in there. You can never really count Golden State out if they get some pieces to come off the bench. Chris Paul coming off the bench, working the second unit. So, I mean, there's a lot of teams that you could throw in here, but I think those 4 are my locks. And Lakers you could probably swap out for somebody, but I think those 4 teams are mine: Nuggets, Celtics, Heat, Lakers.
Yeah, out of those are good teams. I feel like Heat might not make it back. I mean, they were all. I mean, they had to.
Well, I'm kind of banking on them getting Lillard.
Oh yeah, if they get Lillard, then yeah, they'll definitely make it in. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Mine, I just wrote down 1 because this is just how I feel like the finals are gonna be. It's gonna be the Suns versus the Celtics, and I understand, like I said before, yeah, we're sitting over here saying, oh well, there's injury players. There's injured players, and it's just like, are they really going to play many games together? Are they going to go crazy? Blah, blah, blah. Wait. I wanted to bring this up when we were talking about the Lakers. I applaud the Lakers because they didn't do any crazy signings to where, they brought someone like Cat or some crazy big man to go with AD or anything. Because, a lot of people, they try to bring all these stars, and it never works out. When you have all these stars on one team, I mean, it did for the Celtics. Back when they won a chip with old Rondo and Paul and all them crazy truckers, but yeah, it's just. But anyways, Lakers is a good team to put on there. I ain't even thinking about them, but mine is Suns Celtics. I just feel like with the addition of Kristaps, with the additions that the Suns have gotten, that would be a good matchup, especially if they're all healthy and they all play.
I don't know. I just feel like the Suns defensively are lacking. KD is an underrated defender. He's a good defender, but it's just matchups. Who is he going to have to guard? If it's a bigger dude that can body him, then you're going to have some issues. But he can play really good. He can play pretty good defense. So, I mean, the other guys, who knows? Ayton, what's in his head? What is he thinking? Is he going to try? I don't think he wasn't trying. I don't think it's that. I think it's just all the critics and everybody talking about him, anytime the coaches and stuff try to say something to him, they just thought in his head, he's just thinking they're just coming at his neck. And, I mean, who knows what's really going on in the locker room. So it is what it is. But yeah, Suns, I mean, they definitely have a chance. I just think defensively they're going to have some issues. Is KD going to show up in the playoffs and not, he was getting to his spots. He was getting whatever he wanted. He just wasn't making it. So I don't think it's a really thing of he can't do what he wants to do on the court anymore. It's just he's got to make the shots. So, and Booker played better in this, span of the playoffs than probably any of his other playoffs. So, what can they do? Can Bradley Beal come in and add and not take away from somebody else? That's going to be the question. So, all right, that's kind of it for the NBA. 58 minutes. I mean, there was so much to talk about, and we could have expanded on a lot of the things. So,
we definitely could. Yeah, I was trying to keep it
So moving on, you can kind of see my list here. I don't know if you already looked.
I did look. I'm gonna let you go through yours first, and then I'll tell
But
you
like I
what
said,
mine
number
is.
2, people gonna be looking at me crazy, I think.
Number
But
one, people gonna look at you crazy.
But I got reasoning for all these, and not that all these can't be a little bit interchangeable. So some honorable mentions before I get into this list. So these are gonna be players that I don't have on here. Marshawn Lattimore,
Okay.
I think, can definitely be on this list. I don't know. I mean, Xavier Howard, I think, I think he had a down year, but he was locked down before that. Byron Jones, I think, isn't in the league anymore. I think he had a lot of injuries going on, but before this season, people had him up there pretty high. Really good zone corner. Um, Cowboys, what's his name?
Trayvon Diggs.
Trayvon Diggs. Didn't have him on the list. People are probably going to be mad about that. But, I mean, all the memes of him getting burnt and stuff is crazy to me. I mean, if you're going to be that aggressive as a corner, sometimes you're going to get beat. Yeah, I'm just going to say the list. So we got Jair Alexander at 1. Marlon Humphrey 2. People might hate that. Jalen Ramsey 3. AJ Terrell 4. Sauce Gardner 5. You can put Sauce over Terrell. I wouldn't be mad, but I'm keeping Terrell in the top 10. I'm a Falcons fan. I got to keep him in there. And I don't think it's that biased. I mean, I think he's that good. So, yeah, I don't have any issues with my top 5. I don't know what your top 5 is. You want to go ahead and say it?
Okay, one. I wanted to put Jair in there. I did it. But he definitely could be 2 or 3. Probably change out 3, but here's just how I feel about it. One thing I like is not only last year's play, I know we're talking about last year, but consistency. So that's kind of what I interchained it with. I like people who are consistent, because if we're just going by last year, I mean, you're having to put, some people that might have done good last year that necessarily were never really good before and could never be good again. These are people that are consistent, except for my number 1, obviously, fresh out the league. My number 1 was Sauce, won the award. He's I think he might be him. I know when we talked about it, I think me, you, and Oldie talked about it a couple months ago. I wasn't feeling that way. But, I think that was like midway through the season. And, he turned around, did pretty good. I put Sauce at number 1. Let me remember who number 2 was Jalen Ramsey. Now, that is biased. I do like Jalen. I like the trash talk. Not many players I like trash talk from, but Jalen brings that thing up. Jalen shows he's him. I like Jalen at 2. Number 3 was Darius Slay. Now, some people might say there are better people than Darius. I understand, but there was just one game last season. I can't remember who it was. I don't remember who they played. It was some game, and this man had like 4 deflections. Now, given they were throwing to his side every single time, I think he had 2 picks and 4 deflections. It was some crazy. But other than that, he still played good the rest of the season. I think near the end, he wasn't playing as good, but he was still playing good.
Yeah.
Number 4 was Patrick Surtain.
Cool with that.
He's definitely, I'd have to put him top 5 because of how he's been playing. And then I don't remember who my 5. Oh, Marlon Humphrey was my 5.
All right, I'm glad you had him in there.
Yeah, Marlon Humphrey was my 5 because, I mean, like I said, consistency, he has it. You know what I mean? He's been playing at a top tier level. There is some disrespect about him not being in many people's top 5. I'm pretty sure if you look it up or something, he's probably not in a lot of top 5s. He definitely has to be in top 10s, but he's in my top 5. I like Lamar, so I mean maybe that's some bias, but
yeah, Surtain, I think he's really, really good. I think he broke out last year, and I think he can deserve to be in there. But breaking down my list, starting with Alexander, I just think coverage corners, being able to play man and being able to play zone, I think he's top of the league. I don't think anybody can really. I don't think anybody's going to have him not in the top 5. Maybe not even in. I don't think anybody's going to have him out of the top 3, in my personal opinion. I know Gardner had a really good rookie year, and you can put him number 1. A lot of people might even have him number 1. But just because he's a rookie, I kind of want to see it for another year.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why I got him at 5, because these players have shown it for multiple seasons. So Jair, I just think the versatility, the speed, I think he's everything you want in a corner. So that's why I got him number 1. Not that you can't say that these guys are just as good as him, but Jalen and Marlon 2 and 3 I think can be swapped whichever way you want to go with it, but both of them are really good tacklers. They both hit when they tackle. So that's kind of why I have them high on this list, because not only do they cover, but they can help in the run game a lot more than a lot of these other corners. So Marlon lays some hits, and so does Ramsey. So that's why I got them high on the list. So if you're wondering why, Marlon even plays some safety sometimes. So, and then you can put him in the box. So that's why I got him at 2, just because I think he's a little bit more versatile than Ramsey. But both these corners are really, really good. That's why I got them 2 and 3. AJ and Sauce. If you want to put Sauce over AJ, I'm cool with that. I'm a little biased, but I think AJ's the speed zone man. I think he's good at both. So I'm good with that. Like I said, Zertan definitely can be up there. Slay definitely can be up there. There's a lot of good cornerbacks. So there's a lot of guys you can put in here and take some guys out. But
Yeah. I mean,
I'm not going to argue with his top 5. I think those are all really good players. And just like my list, I think all these players are good. So
yeah, I mean, like I said, Jair, I was going to put him up there, maybe interchangeable with Darius because, he is that guy. I don't know. To me, Darius is, he's proven himself. So I feel like it would be kind of disrespectful not to put him up there.
Yep. All right. Yeah, let us know in the comments. I might put a little, I'll try to add a little thing where y'all can put y'all's top 5s. But moving on, should be kind of a quick topic, but the NFL, it came out. Now, it didn't come straight from the NFL. It kind of like leaked, or there were some rumors and stuff that the NFL was blaming the Chiefs and the Eagles players for wearing the wrong cleats as the reason why they were slipping when they were playing in the Super Bowl. All I got to say about this is all the players are complaining about turf fields, about how they're getting all these injuries. So what does the NFL do? They sit here and water this grass for a year, try to get it in pristine condition, roll it into the stadium, and now y'all are complaining about slipping. So do y'all want to have turf and get injured and get stuck in the turf, or do y'all want to slip? Let us know. So that's all I got to say about that. I mean, maybe they watered the grass too much or too little, or something that has to do with, why they were slipping. But y'all wanted grass, y'all got grass, and now y'all complaining about grass. So what do y'all want? That's all I got to say.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to slip no matter what. I mean, no matter what, anything you play on, whether you play basketball, you play on a court, whether you play ice hockey, whether you play, no matter what you play on, you're always going to slip because you're just using your feet and the traction's not always going to be there for you. So it's just a thing that sucks. There's a lot of non-contact injuries, and it sucks for a lot of people, and I feel bad for them. But at the end of the day, you can't really complain because you'll have half the people are going to want turf, half the people are going to want actual grass.
Yeah.
You're not going to please everybody. At the end of the day, NBA or NFL is just going to do what they want to do and what's kind of cheapest for them, even though I know it was very expensive to get that grass in there. I don't remember how much it was. It was way beyond the millions. But, yeah, I don't know. I just – it's just one of those things that, people are going to be upset either way. It just happens.
Yeah, I mean, you could slip and that cause injury, or get stuck and get tackled and your cleat don't come out the turf and get injured. So I mean, people are blaming the turf, and okay, maybe there are more injuries with the turf, or there's more injuries reported nowadays. But I mean, the NFL teams have the choice if they want to do grass or not, I think. So I mean, I think you just kind of leave it up to the teams. I don't think the NFL is ever going to come out and say, all right, everybody's going to do grass, because some of these stadiums, I don't think it's really possible for them to do it the way they build it. So there's that. But moving on, QB to take the biggest leap. I don't know who you got, but I got Justin Fields. I'm a pretty big Justin Fields fan. And obviously, rushing-wise, he did really, really good last year. But now he's got DJ Moore. Obviously the Panthers trade. Darnell Mooney was always, pretty good. He's going to be a really good 2. Now you got DJ Moore to draw some attention. I think DJ Moore is just as good as some of the top 5, top 10 top 10 receivers. Yeah. So he's got some weapons now. They still got Claypool, who everybody thought he was going to be really good bringing him in, and he didn't really show it. But now he doesn't have to be the 1 or the 2. He can be the 3. So kind of like how he was in Steelers when Juju was there and he was kind of playing the 2 to 3 role. So, I think the offense got better. The lines got better. They obviously drafted O-line with their first pick, and I think one of the other picks, definitely not the second. I think the second was a D lineman, but I think he's going to take the biggest leap.
I actually have 2 written down because they're kind of like iffy, but I like Justin Fields. I love that pick because a lot of people were disrespecting him last year. I mean, as far as his conference, he's one of the top quarterbacks in that conference.
Yeah.
Definitely top 5, probably top 3. It's just Justin Fields, he's a good quarterback. People hate on him, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to get into that. That's a whole different story for a whole different day. My picks, and both of these quarterbacks are really good. So it's not like they're taking a huge leap, but just a leap that is going to go beyond what they've already done.
Yeah.
And number 1 is Justin Herbert if his wide receivers get healthy. If his wide receivers get healthy, I see him being him. Like, he is a great quarterback. He can go beyond. If he leaves that team and goes to a team that already is pretty good, that just needs, that star quarterback coming in, he could easily lead a team to a championship.
For sure.
He could. I could guarantee it right now. My other one, which he played amazing last year, I think he got hurt week 13, and then he just didn't play after that, and he was wanting his contract and everything, would be Lamar, which that is one of my favorite players, other than the whole Cardinals team, blah, blah, blah. But, now he has Odell, Zay Flowers, the other receiver he's got coming with him. But, now he has some targets that he could possibly hit. I know he used to have Marquise, but and he did hit Marquise. But it's just now I feel like this season you're going to see more of his passing game than you will.
I mean, when he won MVP, that's why he won MVP is passing. So,
yeah. Well, I feel like you're going to see everybody calls him a runner, and I understand, he had that decent passing season, but I feel like now he's going to go beyond that. Now he's going to show like, hey, I want everybody to shut up. I want everybody to shut up. I can be a runner, but I'm going to show you again. This is why this is why I'm a quarterback. This is why I'm one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Which I think in the first 5 or 6 weeks he was still like top 5 or something. I don't know about passing, but I know just in general he was top 5.
Yeah.
Another quarterback we could think about, because I know he got a few chances on the field, but he didn't get many, is Jordan Love for Green Bay. He was drafted years ago.
Yeah.
And he's just never really got the chance because of Aaron Rodgers. Now that Aaron Rodgers is out, he don't really have many targets.
No. I mean, they got a good team still. The receivers are pretty good.
Oh, no, they gave 2 of their wide receivers away.
Cobb and Lazard went, but they weren't really. I mean, they're getting older. Lazard wanted to follow Rodgers.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, I'm not a big fan of Love, but hopefully he can do something. Hopefully he could. I know he got on the field, like I said, a couple times, but I don't think he did anything special, and I think people were starting to doubt him. But it wasn't like he really got any crazy starts. You know what I mean? But I feel like he could explode.
Yeah, I think he can be decent. Obviously, I think did he end up playing? I don't think he's played a regular season game yet. I think he's played a preseason game. So we'll see what he does. I mean, he probably has played a preseason because Rodgers ain't finna play a preseason game. But I mean, yeah, maybe potentially. I think Tua. Hopefully, he has a healthy season. I think if he was healthy the whole year, then I think he would have been really, really good. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Justin Fields is my lock. We're calling bank. No, I'm calling bank on Justin Fields being the breakout player. So, yeah, that's mine. We're trying to incorporate calling bank into something, and it's going to mean basically you're locking it in, kind of. So I'm locking it in. I'm calling bank on Justin Fields taking the biggest leap next year. Got some weapons, so I'm going with.
Yeah, I ain't mad at it. I respect Justin Fields. You know where he came from, wink, wink. But
Georgia.
I respect him. He ain't a bad quarterback at all. We'll get to see more of his passing game this season than we have before. And hopefully Lamar goes crazy again.
All right, guys, that's going to do it. Look at our sponsor. Never mind. I'll catch you guys on the next episode of We Call Bank. Probably, I don't know how much NBA news it's going to be this time. It might be a lot of top fives, stuff like that, some over-under trivia. But yeah, guys, we'll catch you in the next one. Deuces.